Welcome back, guys. Another video, another day. I will be listing two videos today. One where I did a review of a Scott 370R, and this video is a review of speakers. The speakers that I'm going to talk to you here in the second video is a pair of speakers that I liked a lot, and really they impressed me from day one when they were released. It is the smallest speakers in that series. It is the last original lineup, or the last series that was released by the original Cerwin Vega company back in 2002, 2003. I really enjoy these. These and the bigger brother I really like. The other ones are okay, but not up to like what typical Cerwin Vegas most people would expect it to be. But these little bastards down here, they surprised me, and they have surprised many, and not because they're like brutal or play loud or anything like that, because you will see in a little bit here that they're not the type of speakers for that. But the sound quality is way up there, and it was very unexpected when I got them. So let me bring them up here for you. These are the V5M, and these are the two-tone gray ones with a blue logo. You probably have seen the floor models that has that little plastic lip on the bottom here with the Cerwin Vega on it. V10 and V12 and V15, and they have those aluminum frame, chrome colored frame woofers and mids. Let me see if I can take this off. There we go. So when I got them back in the day, these I found, this pair here, I was so lucky last week, I think it was, or the week before. I found these locally here in my town, and I got them for a good price. And yes, they have some nicks and, cosmetic things after 16, 17 years on the market. But I remember when these came out, and because it was the last series of from Cerwin Vega, and at the time I was the Norwegian distributor for Cerwin Vega Car Audio and Pro Audio, and I went to Denmark to their European head office in Nørreager, Denmark, over a weekend, and we went through some stuff, we listened to some stuff, and I brought home some stuff, recon kits and some speakers. This was one of them, and it was the Big Brother V6F, which is the floor model tower speaker, and I brought home a 10-inch and another pair of speakers that was called SPL12. That's a very rare one, and I have to say that, when I saw these, some of these come with, you can see on the back side of it, on the label, it says made in the United States on some, but on most of them it says made in China. This one is made in China. In the very beginning, I think they had a few sets of each made up in California, but of course they moved the whole production to China to make it more affordable and more cost effective. These were not high dollar speakers, any of them, not even the floor models. They were very affordable, and they had a very good price range, that I will say. But these little things here, the V5M, the bookshelf speaker, I want to say this one and the V6F, the floor standing tower, which is almost the same as this one. The difference is this one has a 5-inch, 5.25-inch woofer. The floor standing V6F has a 6.5-inch. So that's the big difference. They have the same tweeter and the same look. like I said, these were the last series that came up before Stanton bought out Cerwin Vega, and I I heard something that there was another, if they hadn't, if Cerwin Vega hadn't been in the pickle that they were at the time, and if they hadn't sold to Stanton at the time, this was going to be their entry level and a more affordable series on the market, and there was a plan for another series that was more, uh, cost a little bit more and a little bit more, um, quality, build quality, and so on and so on. But they never got that far. So we don't know what it was. I know for sure that it was not the CLSC, because that was a pure Stanton thing. They brought in a speaker designer from NHT, now hear this or now hear that or whatever it was, and he's the one who designed the CLSC. Um, that was not what Cerwin Vega had planned. Cerwin Vega had planned of releasing this series as an entry model, and then they had plans on releasing another series above this one. And they had some plans too for Pro Audio, but all of that got easily tucked under a carpet or the rug when Stanton come knocking with their millions. And it was not Cerwin Vega's intention to sell. It was more like the bank was forcing them. So let's get back to the meat, or the meat on the bone, and the potato, the dish, and it is the V5M. Now I have tested this one this morning with two different amplifier solutions. One was a receiver, and one is an integrated amp. The first the first one I tested it with was the receiver, and that's the Marantz 2220 B. And we all know that Marantz kind of have like a warm sound. I know how these sound from before, because I used to own a pair of these, and I used them a lot. And back in the day, I used to run Carver amplifiers on them, which was like perfect. I was running like 80-100 watts Carver amplifier on these little babies. Gave me a lot of headroom, that's for sure. So today I hooked up the 2220B from Marantz, which is a 20 watt per channel receiver. It sounded good, it sounded nice. Had a typical warm Marantz sound. I can tell you that these are a little bit brighter when you put a Carver up to them. And I felt that, from what I can remember in the past, the Carver did a better job and it was a better sound. The Marantz sounded a little bit dull. So when I unhooked the 2220B and I hooked up the Marantz 1060, that was a huge difference right off the gate. Huge difference in sound. Still had a little tone or a touch of warmth, but it was a little bit crisper, a little bit more detailed, had a little bit more punch and speed to it. So clearly the 2220B was a little bit on the gentle side, and that's 20 watts. Even though this is a bookshelf speaker, these are 8-ohm speakers, and I mean, they can easily take 60, 70, 80, 90 watts. I will, in the near future, before I put these up for sale, I will test them with my Carver amp that I have here, that is 80 watt per channel, because the Marantz 2220B and the Marantz model 1060 are both less wattage than the Carver that I have here. So the 80 watt Carver that I have here will probably change the sound in these quite a bit. Now, why do I like these small speakers so much? Because I like big speakers, big sound, power, blasting the music. I like these because there's a side to me also, because I like to sit sometimes and just have music on in the background. not active listening, just a background music thing without sitting there thinking about what I'm listening to. And then they're great. Then you have the times where I just want to sit down. Maybe I have a slight type of headache or my migraines are kicking in because I have a lot of those days. And then there's nice to have a pair of speakers that sounds really good without knocking you to the floor. So I can listen to these on my days where I have a bad head day. um, and to be honest, the sound in these are really freaking good. Good tweeter, good mid range. Yeah, they don't have any bottom range to talk about. You can hear a little bit of bass, but not much. But for their use, they are so freaking good. And combined with a subwoofer, these really shines. The sound quality in these ones are really, really high, and something that I can really recommend. Um, the details in this speaker when you listen to music are phenomenal. I have used these, and I use these very often in the past, and even now, to listen to classical music, because I like classical music as well. I'm not just a hard rock and heavy metal dude. I listen to a lot of classical music, Bach and Vivaldi and you name it. Um, so maybe Beethoven too. Yeah, Beethoven is one of my favorites. So I have like probably 3,000 LPs, and all of them are classic music. What did that tell you? So these are very, very good on classic music. These are not the ones that you want to hook up and play techno or dance or trance or R&B and hip hop and think you're going to blast the neighbor out of their bed, because that's not what they're built for. But they are very, very balanced, very, very detailed, very listening friendly. You don't get tired, you don't create a fatigue. So they're very, very nice that way. And I love the sound in them. I just do. I just really like the sound. And if you can incorporate a subwoofer, 10 inch, 12 inch, nothing bigger than that, because you don't want to drown these out. They integrate very well with a 10 and 12 inch subwoofer. Back in the day, they were not that expensive. I think, I'm not sure what they sold for here in the States, but I think it was like right around $99.99, right below $100 for the pair. I think in Europe they were like $149.99 or something like that, or $169.99, something like that, depending on the country and their taxes and how much sales tax they have on stuff like that. So the V5M in the last original Cerwin Vega lineup is an absolute dynamite, and I can recommend it. The big brother, the floor model, the V6F, the same thing, absolute dynamite of a speaker. The V series subwoofers, the 10 and the 12, I like them, but they when you're used to other type of subwoofers, they become a little bit, not bad sounding, but a little bit weak, and they don't have the same punch. They play deep, but they didn't have the attack. So they were okay. Now the V10 and the V12 and the V15, they were okay. But if you're used, like I said, if you're used to AT15, DX9, VS150, and D9, the V15 is not going to compete with those other models, that's for sure. But like I said, that's not what they were built for. They were built as an entry-level, affordable series that most people could buy. And it was, and I'm not going to shovel this under the rug or kick it under the bed or the chair or behind the couch or anything like that. They had a purpose. And it was a very cynical purpose. And it was a very monetary, financial purpose. Because Cerwin Vega, until the very end, they tried their best to come up with ways and ideas and solutions to solve problems. And the problem was they were running a little bit of financial pickle as a company, and they tried to release this affordable model here as a one last desperate attempt to create sales and maybe create $2 or $3 or $4 million in sales, because that in a short-term thing would have solved the problems. If Cerwin Vega could have come up with $4 million, their problems would have been solved. So it was kind of like, okay, let's put this affordable series out there, and let's see if we can get enough sales. And then when we do, we don't sell the company, and we come out with another series that is a little bit above this one. It didn't resonate with most fans of Cerwin Vega. So when you release a series like this, you more or less depend on or bank on that all your fans from the past will buy it. But you also need new customers, new people that have never owned Cerwin Vega before, and they're going to choose it because of price. That's a hard bargain. The worst customers you can hit, let me put it like this. The easiest customers that you can have are the ones that you have had in the past. If you have treated them good and they are satisfied with your product, they will come back. When this was sold, and stick with me here, and even back in 2002, 2003 when these came out, we lived in a world online. It was easy to spread the news. It was easy to spread opinions. And when they came out, enough people bought them, and enough people made a bad review. So they hampered the sale in that way. So then that hit both the former and the previous owners and buyers, but also the new ones right on the nose. So it didn't become a sales success or a sales revelation as many hoped. And I think that the market really took it the wrong way, because they went after the V12 and the V15s, and when they didn't live up to expectations or fulfill needs, as most people said, then you had a problem. But if people had taken the time to buy these small ones here, the V5M and the V6F, if that had been the speakers that had been given reviews and a lot of attention online among fans, I think the V series would have gone on to become a good seller, and possibly given Cerwin Vega that last desperate attempt to avoid what they went into. But because the people wanted the V12, the V10s, the V15s, and they didn't live up to expectation because they didn't know at the time that this was affordable entry-level series. Because Cerwin Vega didn't go out in public and say, hey, new series, this is our new entry-level affordable series. They didn't say that. They went out, they put it on the internet, and they made press releases where they said, we have a new Cerwin Vega lineup, and automatically people are going to go, oh yeah, I'm going to go and check that out. And when they heard them, and it wasn't up to the par of DX, VS, AT, the D, the LS, the AL, even the E series, it wasn't even up to the, well, the E300 series is pretty ridiculously bad as well. And I want to say that one is even at the same level as some of the shittiest things I have heard. But the V7 series was better. So when people who had the older models finally got around to listen to the V series, they were like, whoa, what is this? And I was the same way. When I heard the V12 and the V15 for the very first time, I was like, oh Lord, because at that time, at home, I had like AT15 or AT100, I had D9, and I had just sold my VS, and the RE that I have had here is even better. And I'm not a big RE fan, but they're okay. But um, you know, back then I was like, what the heck is this? But I had the luck to listen to these small ones first, because I got those, and then a few months later I went to the distributor for Cerwin Vega Hi-Fi and listened to their speakers there, and that was Hi-Fi Club. And I was like, nah, this is not Cerwin Vega. That was my first, I even said that about these. I said, this is not Cerwin Vega because it sounds too good. And I said that about the V6F. I'm like, oh my god, this is not Cerwin Vega sound. This sounds really freaking good. I mean, older Cerwin Vega sounds good too, but this was a little bit higher up again. And so I was like, So I was intrigued, and then a couple of months later, like I said, I went down to Hi-Fi Club, and I listened to the floor standing bigger models, and I was like, whoa, this is not Cerwin Vega, but in a way different tone. Yeah, they played deep bass and they rumbled a lot, but like I said, there was no attack in them, there was no punch, and their power handling was way down compared to the other models that they had released in the past. I think the mids and the tweeters are good, but there was something about the bass and something about the low end in the V series that rubbed me kind of like the wrong way. Because when I listen to old school Cerwin Vega, I am used to have, to a certain degree, fairly deep bass, not subwoofer bass, but deep bass. But I always have had punch and attack, and it just hit you in the chest. The V series did not do that. So the V series is kind of like it's almost like I don't know. It's like some personality disorder. It's almost like that series is almost like they're almost like bipolar. I'm not talking shit about bipolar people, but it's bipolar in the way that you have like two models that sounds really freaking good, and then you have three other models that are not living up to the same standard. It's like you can draw a line and say, okay, the two smallest speakers sounds really phenomenal, and the three bigger ones just sounds average, because that's what they sound. The bigger ones, they sound average. So the V5M, if you're looking for a small speaker, you don't even to use as hooked up to your computer, phenomenal, good. If you just want some small bookshelf speakers because you live in a place where the space is limited, they're fantastic. Don't expect a lot of bass, but some bass tones are there. But once again, the V5M, absolutely toppers. I can really recommend them. So if you come across them, jump on them, and you can have them today for anywhere between $50 to $100. They have kept their value pretty good, and I like small speakers like this sometimes because, sometimes people run out of room. I do. When you have too many speakers, but you just want something small and listen to. And I mean, the V5M, these are the two V series models you really have to get. If you are a Cerwin Vega nut and you collect them, get the V5M and get the V6F. You will not be disappointed by any of them. Unless you expect techno sound or techno bass or whatever. Don't expect 30 hertz, 20 hertz sound, but for what they are, they're really good. I hope that was a good one, and until next time, take care.